This morning, Monday, June the 17th, it's about 9:45 in the morning. I've just cycled from my hometown of Bath up to Bristol Parkway station. In about 45 minutes, I'm getting a train up to Leeds and I'm going to start my summer cycle tour. I'm visiting 9 thankful villages in the north of England. I'll see you when I get to Leeds. Here we are at Leeds then, after a hot, sweaty journey of about 4 hours. The train was absolutely sardine packed. I did get a seat soon after the first station. Luckily, the cycle cubicles were all free, so I managed to stand my bike up, tie it all up. It felt very secure. Once got a seat, it was a nice, comfy journey. Trying to get off, it was just like sardine tin in the vestibule area, and I had to get my panniers off, get back on as people were trying to get off and on, and then get my bike off, extracting it out to many people. So I'll tell you more when I get to Travel Lodge. It's about a mile or so that way. I'll see you there. During the course of this tour, I'll be using several resources. So I'll tell you what they are. First of all, I've got a hard copy paper list with all the villages on and their accumulative miles. And I've broken the trip down into 3 sections. There's 3 different GPS files on my Garmin's there. This is the first section. So you can see there's 4 thankful villages. That section takes us from here up to north of Newcastle. This section is where I turn westwards at Newcastle, head over the Pennines, all the way down to the Lancashire-Cumbria coast to Nether Kellet. So that'll be the remainder of them, 4 thankful villages and 5 thankful villages. Then at the end of the thankful villages, I want to do another 127 miles just exploring the Lancashire coast. The total distance is going to be 391. I've got 8 days to do it in. That works at a minimum of 49 miles a day. I feel confident I can do that with full camping kit and allow myself time for, there's going to be some setbacks, I don't know what they are yet. And just plenty of stopping and touring and just relaxing. I am on holiday after all. This is the way I came in last night. Luckily it's at ground level, walk straight in. The main entrance is actually up a flight of steps. So that was just a coincidence, that worked out well. Been studying the map this morning where my route starts. It starts down there. I had a walk down there last night. You can cut through there and get on the main street. So hopefully the Garmin's would have been loaded by then, because they sometimes take a while to pick up a satellite signal in a built up area like this. See, we're right next to the railway station here. The train just come by. So the start of my cycle tour, day 1. Let's get going. Okay, you can see I'm on a cycle segment of a main road heading north out of Leeds, signposted towards Wetherby, and that's why I looked up my route this morning. I just got a few mental mile markers and I know I'm heading through Wetherby. So, in the town centre, that helps me make a quick decision if the Garmin is a bit confusing. And it was at times. There was cycle paths which would cut off junctions, although rejoin that main road a few hundred yards away. And I guess for the locals it's brilliant, but for a traveller who's unfamiliar, it was a bit confusing. And now I'm heading on this main road out of Leeds, and in a few miles time I'll be turning right, I believe, and then getting on some minor roads. I've turned onto a much quieter road, although there's no overtaking lane, so I'm just riding on the pavement. Seems perfectly okay to do it here, no pedestrians about. If it's busy, if there's people walking, I wouldn't do this, but here it just seems to make sense. After about 6 miles, I've turned off left. I knew this was coming. I'm on much nicer roads. It was a bit of a pull out of Leeds, lots of traffic lights, which I don't mind, and also there was a lot of cycle lanes, and a couple of times there was a slight drag up a hill, and it's only single carriageway. I just rode up the pavement, just not to impede traffic. It feels safer as well. But anyway, now on nice quiet roads, heading up towards Wetherby. Well, I've just passed 13.5 miles and I'm just coming into Wetherby. probably better known for its race course. It's still in the Leeds City Council reach. Didn't realise that. Been to it a few times before. When I was about 18, 19, I used to hitchhike up to Stockton-on-Tees to visit my girlfriend. I've met her on holiday in Weymouth that summer. And it was always a good place to be dropped off because you were pretty much guaranteed to get a lift. I'm pretty sure hitchhiking these days is not that easy to do. But in those days, I would not even leave home till about 9 o'clock in the morning. I knew I could be up there by tea time. It was literally that easy in those days. Just leaving Wetherby, I thought I was being routed onto a main road, literally running parallel to this. I don't think this is an old railway. I think this is possibly what used to be the old road. Feels like that. It's a nice little alternative. Anyway, I really enjoyed that stop in Wetherby. That little recreational park was lovely, and the flowers on the way out were stunning. Really does seem to take a lot of civic pride at Wetherby. I'll remember that for sure. This is just the wonders of GPS. I would have never found that back there, and I wouldn't have been sure what this was doing. And I'm still not, but the GPS has sent me down here, so it must make some kind of sense. It feels like it does. This is really nice. I'm enjoying this. I'm actually loving this, riding right alongside this main road. You can see it's not that busy, but it is quite narrow. Just crossing a river here. And my track is just to the right of the road, facing this way. It'd be carrying on just to the left. You can see because of this bridge they've just sort of merged, but then we'll always be behind the tree and the hedgerows, so you don't hear it. Absolutely wonderful this. I'm really enjoying this. So unexpected. Also embrace the unexpected. That's what I try to do. Really enjoying this section. Just crossing the A1M, so that's heading north. And that's it heading south. You can see the services sign there telling you the A1M Wetherby services 2 miles, and then the M1 Leeds 17 miles. Gosh, look at that amount of traffic. So I've been hearing it on that really nice quiet lane, but this is the first time I've seen it. So I've got to cross it, then head left by the look of it, and then carry on that north. I'm on fairly flat roads, making good progress. The wind must be benefiting me. I keep seeing lots of poppies. Here's a good example. I was able to stop and film them here. Look at that. List. So I'm aware that the first thankful village won't be too far. It's going to be Norton le Clay at 32 miles into my ride. I'm currently on 20 3/4, so not quite yet, but within the next hour I would say. Really looking forward to that. The first of today's probably 2 thankful villages. There's another one 2 miles later. Oh yeah. I just had to stop back here. There was a queue waiting for a level crossing. See the red flashing lights? A train went by, and you just automatically expect the automatic barriers to go up, don't you? Not so. A guy came out in a high vis and did it manually. Haven't seen that for many years. There it is, the keeper's cottage. Oh, right by the station. What's the name of this station? Oh, Cundall. Cundall. Not the wildlife variety. Cundall. Old semaphore type signals, look. Just doing the direct crossing of the A59 York Harrogate Road. That sign there, that's a perfect example of why I like coming to places I'm unfamiliar with, especially on the eastern side of the country. I love place names where, well, I love signposts like this where I don't recognise one of those place names. Kirkhamilton, Cundall and Whitsley. I just love that. I get so much enjoyment out of just seeing signs where I don't recognise one of the names. I don't quite know why I enjoy that so much. I've thought about this, whether it's novelty seeking, or I think it's possibly when I used to be a postman, you had to have a very, very good working knowledge of the local area. So consequently, I know all the local village names, so I know them quite intimately. So I think when I'm on holiday, away from work, that's what does it for me, possibly. I'm on this A road for a couple of miles. It's not too busy, it's very straight. I've just seen there's some hills over there, which has sort of thrown me a little bit because I thought the coast was over there. I thought the hills were inland. But I can see right in front of me, I'll try and zoom in surely, it looks like there's a white horse up there. Right in front of me, near the summit of the hill. About there, I think it'll be. I've done a quick bit of mental geography and I was thinking that was probably the North York Moors over there. I know I'm going up to this corridor of low-lying ground in between hills, so yeah, that would probably be the North York Moors. I remember years ago when we walked Wainwright's coast to coast, you come off the Pennines and then there's this big vale, I can't remember what it's called, and that's what I must be in now, and then you climb up for the final section if you're heading eastwards onto North York Moors where you end up at Whitby. I'm going to have to Google that later on and see what that white horse is, or if it is a white horse. It looks like one from here. This road is very, very straight, and I nearly said earlier on it feels like an old Roman road, but you can't say that about every straight road because it's just simply not true. But I think this one might have been, because look, there's a Roman town just off it. It's round about lunchtime. I'm loving passing through these Yorkshire villages. This is Boroughbridge, and I'm about 3 miles from my first thankful village. So I'm hoping that's where I'll have my lunch. So I thought I'll pop in the Spar there, pick up some supplies, you know, a bit of a sweet treat. I've got sandwiches from this morning. And I saw this and I thought, because I'm a history nerd really, it drew me over. And it's always interested to read about the local history. And something caught my eye here. It says, if you walk through the town's boundaries, takes you on a journey which includes a touch of history, a battle site, the works of a blind road maker. Okay, so that just fascinated me, so I found it here. It says, a short walk along Fisher Gate brings you to a bridge over the River Tut, built by the remarkable blind Jack. Born John Metcalfe in 1717, he contracted smallpox at the age of 6 and became totally blind. He became an accomplished fiddle player, huntsman, stagecoach driver and entrepreneur, and in his mid-30s a builder of roads and bridges in Harrogate, Leeds, Scruton, Halifax, Doncaster, Huddersfield and beyond. He died in 1810, aged 93. Here we are at the bridge, about to cross the River Tut, so I'm going to walk across, stop, look down at it. There's another one of these local history boards telling you about the Battle of Boroughbridge. Pretty good graphic there, telling you where it was and a little bit about it. Wow, look at that. There's a lot of white frost coming down. There's a guy up there in his waders in the middle of the river fly fishing. I'm just really, really enjoying this at the moment. Looking forward to lunch at the first thankful village in a few miles' time, Norton-le-Clay. Right, let's get there. So a mile from Boroughbridge, I've spotted my first sign for Norton-le-Clay, 2 miles. We're just coming up to a right-hand turn. I can see on my Garmin there, and I can see it says Norton-le-Clay, half a mile or quarter. And there's the North York Moors over there. We're running parallel to it. There's the White Horse. I was starting to think, well then the Pennines is over there. I can just see them in the very, very far distance. But what I have got on my left is the motorway going along there. See all the traffic and a blue sign up there. There must be a big junction. So we're heading towards our first thankful village of the 9 on this tour. So a bit closer to the sign, I can see it actually says 3/4 of a mile down there. Look, heading towards the moors, the North Yorkshire moors and the White Horse. But I thought, Cundall, that rings a bell. I think that's the second thankful village, and I've just checked my paper list and it is. So they're both down this road. There's the boundary sign for Norton the Clay, nearly missed it, overgrown. No reference to it being a thankful village. Sometimes you see it on the boundary sign, sometimes you don't. If you've seen my previous thankful village cycle rides, I tend to head for the churches or a village green because I'm looking for dedicated slate plaques. When I find one, I'll show you the first one of this trip. And that's why I tend to hang my poppy. They tend to be in churchyards or inside the churches or somewhere obvious like a war memorial or a village green. Not all of the villages have got them, and I'll explain why shortly. But anyway, that's what I'm doing. And one of the villages today doesn't have a church. I can't remember if it's this one or the next one, but I've got the key holder app with me so I can quickly check that in a minute I find somewhere nice to have lunch. Okay, I've just ridden through the village and I couldn't find anything. And there's the national speed limit sign there, so obviously I'm leaving the village. And I thought, right, I'll stop here, check the key holder app, because I know one of today's 2 villages doesn't have a church. I had seen a church back there, what used to be a church, but it's now a private residence. And then this old chapel, looks like it's a private residence. And I was just about to get the key holder app, and I thought, oh, I wonder what that grey plaque is over there. And right next to it is what I'm looking for. I'll show you. Even though that's what I've come to find, it was that caught my eye. I thought, oh, I wonder what that's all about. If you're new to the channel and you haven't seen any of my Thankful Village trips before, I only found out about their existence through a YouTube subscriber, James. So once again, many thanks, James. He said he thought I might be interested in them. And it turns out Somerset's got 9, more than any other county in England and Wales. Sadly, Scotland doesn't have any. And so I started exploring local ones, and I kept seeing these slate plaques. And then about a year later, I decided to revisit all the places I'd been to and leave a knitted poppy there, which is what I'm doing now. And I wasn't quite sure what those plaques were about until I started my cycletour last year from Bath up to York. And in a church, I think it's the first village I came to, there was the plaque, and there was a newspaper article right above it. And it told you the story. In 2013, some bikers visited all the thankful villages in the country. And I think it said there were 53 listed then. It's now up to about 56 or possibly 57. So obviously some of the villages don't have these, because when they were presented, they weren't even known that they were thankful villages. Later research proved that they were. And then when I did some more research, I found a Guardian Online article about it, and then that gave you links to their Facebook page. So there's lots of photographs there. And they did, I forget how many thousand miles it was, but they did it all in one go. And they presented these villages with these plaques. And to me, they're just like shrines. That's what I come to look for. And as I understand it from my research, there was such trauma and loss after the First World War. The villages that didn't have any deaths were almost ashamed of it. And it was only in later years people sort of said, you shouldn't be ashamed of it, you should celebrate it. And that's what these bikers did. I think that was their mission, to actually give each village a memorial, because these villages were ashamed of not having a war memorial, because at the time it felt embarrassed. They were ashamed of it. They hadn't suffered loss. And so later generations said, no, it should be celebrated. And that's what these plaques are about. So I find them quite evocative when I come to them. And that's where I'll be leaving the poppy. Again, I won't tie it. I'll just hook it over. I don't want to be sort of thought of as littering. If people don't want it there, they can easily remove it. I've stood back a little bit and I think I can read it. It says, in this house lived and died a noble woman, Madame Maria Philomena Sykes Boal. Belgian refugee victim of the Great War, which is sort of appropriate to what's happening these days. And she spent the rest of her life here. Wow. Doff my cap up just for a minute. That was such a small village, it would have been easy to ride through that. I nearly missed the boundary sign coming in. But as I leave, I'm heading towards that white horse. It's just got obscured by some trees. There's the hill line in the distance. And there's the white horse just disappeared behind some trees. I'm heading towards Cundall. So that was obviously the village without the church. Within a couple of miles, here we are at Cundall. So I've just come in this way. There's a crossroads here, little grass triangle. I've stopped here just in case there's any sort of recognition here, the Thankful Village, because this is the sort of place you can find the plaques. I've actually found one hidden before, just below a tree on a village green. My Garmin's sending me that way, so I will go down there and see what I can find. Having said that, that looks like the boundary sign coming in, so it's probably the boundary sign going out. No through road, that looks quite nice up there, doesn't it? Look at the garden house there. Outside clock there. Nice little area. Again, I'll check all the obvious places. I think my first thought is I'll get the key holder wrap up and see if there is a church here. The church is, as I said, not always where they are, but it's normally the first place I head for, unless I find the plaque before. Okay, well I wanted to know where that road went, and you can see it sort of goes up to river, bends round, just rejoins this road further along there. But this is the junction I'm at. You can see there's the blue dot, and there's where Darren Hayman's dot is. You can see if I touch it, Cundall. But what I've just spotted along there is St Mary's and All Saints Church, Cundall, and there's a school along there. So that kind of looks promising, even though it does feel like I'm leaving the village. I was just checking that sign. I thought possibly that was a boundary sign, but you can see it's clearly not. So we're still in the village of Cundall, even though it does feel like you're about to leave it. So there's a school and a church just round the corner. Let's go and see what we can find there. Okay, I've just seen the church down one of these right hand turns. There's the school. Looks like the church is possibly down there. I've just seen it. Service here on Sunday, yeah. Oh, here we go. That beep you just heard was my Garmin giving me an off-course alarm. Oh, what a delightful place. And again, if you are a new subscriber, another one of my big interests, hobby for want of a better word, I love country and parish churches. And this is a perfect example. I just like them so much. It's a location. And it's also a pretty damn good place to have some lunch, I think. I'll find a seat somewhere. Seeing lots of military aircraft flying over. You may hear one over us now. Please respect this churchyard and don't allow your dog to foul the area. He doesn't know any better, you do. Yeah, that's quite good. Commonwealth war graves, I would suggest possibly this is where the plaque will be, if there is one here. That's going to be my lunch stop. The lovely sun trap here. There's a wire gate over the porch to keep the birds out. Whether it's open or not, I don't know. Because obviously, if the plaque's in the church and the church is locked, there's just nothing you can really do, is there? So, let's go and have a look. It kind of looks promising from here. It's when I see Yale locks, I quite often assume I won't get, there's the plaque there. Right. Before we do that, let's go and see if we can get in the church. Oh, it's jacked. That's a shame. This wonderful stonework and the arch. Been trying to teach myself how to read a church because there's lots of symbolism and meaning. One of the things I discovered recently, that ecclesiastical shape, which you'll quite often get in a lot of doorways and arches inside churches, is very prevalent in a church whenever you go in there. It's representative, they think, of hands praying. And it's one of those things, once you sort of are told that, you suddenly think that is so blindingly obvious. The same as the pillars have symbolism. I'll wait till I get to church to maybe explain that more. And once again, I've just looped it around. If anybody really doesn't want it there, they can easily remove it. Just my way of paying respect and remembrance. Cundall, 1914 to 2014, a thankful village. We'll have a look around the churchyard after lunch. I'm going to go over there, charge my devices and do the scores on the doors. I'll just get an idea of, you know, my progress and make some plans for this afternoon. Bell tower, that'd be the nave, won't it? Chancel there, facing east, as all the graves do, facing towards the sunrise of the new day. Symbolises rebirth and renewal. Oh, what a shame I couldn't get in there. I just sense that must be really, really nice in there. Okay, after that walk around the church and been back in the porch taking some photos, I thought I'd get the Ride with GPS app up and just sort of check my progress. So I always wanted to get to the first 2 thankful villages today. I knew I'd do that barring accidents and illnesses. And get to 49 miles tonight. Well, the next thankful village is at 53, so I think I may aim for that or the vicinity. So we've been heading east, that's why the hills appear to be getting closer. But now from here, we're going to head north again. So I think that means the wind should be with us and, you know, progress should hopefully be a bit easier. And we're running up parallel to the A1M, it's a motorway. And we're going to be on the right of it, the east of it, for a few miles. And then we'll eventually cross it again. And then we'll be on the left of it, the west. And then soon after that, we hook around, and that's where Scruton, the third of the thankful villages, will be at 53 miles. So I think that's what I'm probably going to aim for. I learnt that with long distance riding, you know, sort of have a plan, obviously a big picture plan, but don't think too far in advance, you know, just think of the morning, then think of the afternoon and possibly the evening. Don't even think about going into a different day, just compartmentalise it. That's tomorrow's a different topic altogether. So keep each day as a separate ride really. So the second part of this ride, I think I'm going to put my head down, you know, not race, but I think I'm going to aim for Scruton and just see what's up there, whether it's possible to camp somewhere around there, or we'll see. I've now just come into the wonderful sounding village of Boroughbridge. Look at that church, that tower. It's like Isengard, isn't it? And the Lich Gate as well. The Lich Gate is like a cathedral. It says church open. Wow. St James the Great, Boroughbridge and Rainton. How's that for a church? On some really nice quiet roads now, and I'm looking across at the North York Moors, that ridge line, and because the sun's sort of further down that way now, that's much crisper, that hill line. It's lost the glare of earlier on, and I don't know if it's coming up on the microphone, but you can just hear the roar of the motorway. It must just be at the end of this field and down a dip. Here we are crossing the A1M on a bridge with this wire grill. So he came up what looks like a service road. It almost looked like a glorified slipway, but it was legal to ride on. There was even a cycle track, a pavement cycle track. This is part of it actually. just between Leeming and Leeming Bar, just crossed over this river bridge. Another bit of rough stuff. It says no through road for motor vehicles, so that suggests it is a through road. So anyway, give it a go, see where we end up. We're not too far from Scruton. This is lovely, I'm enjoying this. All the time in the world. Well, I've got plenty of time, so I can afford to make a few mistakes. Where are we heading here? Off to the right. So the fact there was a sign back there saying no through road for motor vehicles suggests that it must look doable on the map, so they try it. Let's see, round to the left. Skirting around this farm, aren't we? Slippery. Oh, and the sun's just come back out. Okay, here we go. Another grassy track. This definitely looks like four-wheel drives use it quite a lot. If the Garmin has routed me down there, I always give it a go. Most of the time it works, sometimes it doesn't. Or you may get to a gate and you have to decant the panniers. I'm okay with that. I'm loving this. Quick glance down at the Garmin, see I need to bear around the right. Yeah, that corresponds with what's happening. And here we come. Onto what looks like a gravel track. Yeah. Back onto metalled road. Then you end up here, down a little industrial cul-de-sac by the look of it. Yeah, we're coming up to main road. So, next stop Scruton. It can't be that far away. A couple of miles I'd have thought maximum. This just looks like it's following what was the original road before they put the roundabout in, straightened it up a bit. You can see it's all lorry parks now, isn't it? It's where lorries hold up. Cycle lane down here alongside the road, just until we get opposite our turning, then we're going to go down there. Hopefully that's towards Scruton. I don't know what's going to happen in the next couple of hours, and I just saw this tap. I thought, great, I'll fill both my water bottles up. And I think what I'm going to do is fill my water bag up. I bought a new water carrier recently. My old one was so old. I do clean it and stir it out every year, but I just thought I'll get a new one. I saw a motorcyclist using this on YouTube. He was camping and he swore by it, so you know, I thought, yeah, that'd be good enough for me. It's called a Water Cell. It's made by Sea to Summit. That's a good brand, I trust it. And also, this motorcyclist said it's really good for carrying on the back of a motorbike, so you can see why it appealed. It's got these carrying straps and it's got a good aperture there for the water, so go and get some water. When we came out of COVID, I started wild camping again, but obviously we had to be very cautious still, and I wouldn't fill up out of water taps for a long time. I just used to buy bottles of water and strap them in a carrier bag on the back of my bike. But what it did do is pretty much educate me on how much I get through. So I would buy two 2-litre bottles of mineral water, and I would find that was probably just about enough. I sometimes have excess, and so that's why I went for the 4-litre option, cheaper, and why have a bigger bag than you need. I think these go up to 6 litres and higher, but I went for the 4-litre, so I've got 4 litres there, 1.5 litres on my bike, so I'm okay for wild camping tonight. I've got an MRE, meals ready to eat, an army ration pack if I have to, but I have bought little bags of rice and pasta. I've got 7 or 8, whatever it is, for however many nights I'm camping. So ideally a tin of chili con carne somewhere, but I'm just not seeing any shops, so you know, MRE if it has to be. That was really good. Cycle path all the way down this road. I've picked up some water that I probably wouldn't have noticed if I was on the road. It's brought me right opposite this minor road, across the cattle grid. I'm assuming Scruton's down there somewhere. Oh, this is really nice. And it is a proper road. And the cycleway was leading you down here. Anywhere in the next mile to possibly 2.5 miles. Gosh, looks like we're crossing the railway. Oh, that looks a little bit overgrown. Oh, this is really nice. Gosh, wonder where all this water's come from. Flowed off the fields, possibly. Gosh, there is a lot, isn't there? Gosh, this lane's really waterlogged. It's quite reassuring seeing that car just go by. Because otherwise I'd be having a doubts whether this actually leads anywhere. Can't really see anything obvious that would be causing it. It's not as though you've got sloping fields either side. Anyway, that's the worst fit by the look of it. Okay, it looks like we're coming into some kind of settlement. You can see houses starting to appear. Another car has just passed me going that way. Is this Scruton? Even where the road's dry here at the moment, you can see plenty of what looks like water damage. Just trying to rack my brains, trying to think what it'd be. Oh, we're going up a bit of a slope now. There you go, look. More sediment. So the water must flow down into that little dip, but where on earth is it coming from? Is there a river up here or a stream? Here's some signposts. Be down North Allerton. What have we got there? Ham Hill Lane. We're being signposted this way. I mean, this could well be Scruton for all I know, because I've come in on a minor road. Would have missed the boundary sign. Need to keep my eyes peeled here. So you come up this tree-lined approach to the rectory, and here's the gate to the church. And straight away I was drawn to this seat, and there's a board here. Lots of interest here, but a reference to Scruton being a thankful village. It says, Scruton is designated as a thankful village, also known as a blessed village, because all its servicemen returned from the First World War. When towns and villages throughout the country were erecting memorials to commemorate the fallen, Scruton raised money for a peace symbol as a symbol of its thankfulness. A memorial clock made by Potts of Leeds was installed on the church tower in 1921. I guess that's it there. We're going to have a look in a minute. Knowledge of Scruton's thankful status faded from memory, but was re-established in 2004 when research confirmed that all the soldiers resident in the village had indeed come home. By 2018, the centenary year of the end of World War I, Further research identified the names and stories of all the men who returned. So this is what I came in, Ham Hill Lane, and then, as I said, to leave the village you would take that way, but I came up here because that's where the Garmin was sending me. You can see it's a no-through road, and here we are up here, St Madigan's Church. But I may go and see if I can find that. That looks really nice. It says Scruton Station was originally opened by the York, Newcastle and Burt Railway in 1848. Obviously closed. There's a picture of it in 1910. But it's been restored with support from the Railway Heritage Trust. The station was fully restored and reopened by the Heritage Trust in 2015. Scruton Station has established a new life as an award-winning railway education resource. So I think that must be down there. It's called Station Road. And I passed over a railway earlier on that I said wasn't used, and that would have been round about there. So it's possibly that, the Wensleydale Heritage Railway. So that could well be where the station is, actually thinking about it. Yeah, that's Scruton Station. Yeah, there it is. Right, I think I'll go and look for that because that looks really nice. First of all, I'm really looking forward to going in the church. And it's about 6:30, so it's getting on a bit, but the sun's still way up in the sky. Oh, this is lovely. This is so nice. Okay, hat off. Let's go and see if we can get in. Oh, I hope we can. Trouble is, it's getting late in the day, isn't it? There's the plaque. Oh, sunglasses up as well, and the church itself looks open. Put the garden and the rest. Plaque, wow. Oh, look, Thankful Village. Scruton is a thankful village, one of only 41 in the United Kingdom where all who served in the Great War, 1914 to 1918, returned safely. As I say, it's constantly being updated, that list. When the bikers did their Thankful Village tour in 2013, there were 53. And it's now up to 56, some sources, 57 others. And then it says what we read outside. The church clock was installed in 1921 following a public subscription as a mark of the village's gratitude and to commemorate peace in Europe. We remember those who died in the World War 1939 to 1945. And there's the plaque. Some thankful villages are known as doubly thankful villages. What that means is every soldier who went off to serve in the First and the Second World War returned safely. I believe there's 16 of the 56 or 57. I'll go and get my poppy shortly, but the church looks open. Let's go inside. Oh, this is nice this time of the evening, isn't it? Oh, look at the stained glass up. Wow. What a difference you can tell, sort of like the dark ethereal. What a difference you can tell the dark ethereal atmosphere in the chancel, that wonderful triple stained glass window, as I said earlier on, representative of the Holy Trinity. But look, the west window is really nice as well. Of course, being this late in the evening, the west window is catching the sun, and it's in the bell tower. And that's where the font is. Gosh, the font's up here really grand. I'm seeing quite a lot with pillars. There's also bell ropes. That wonderful stained glass. Right. My favourite part of the church really is the chancel. Chancels and lich gates are what I like most about churches, I think anyway. Gosh, the pulpit, that stone pulpit. All the ornamental artwork on it. Wow, three-dimensional as well. All pigmented colours, look. Gosh, that's a work of art in itself. Let's just go up in that. Looking down at the congregation. The microphone there, look, sign of the times. No sign plate above. Whether there was one once, I don't know. Okay, and straight down into the chancel. Oh, look at the reredos at the back, all the carvings behind the altar. Another step up to the altar now. Wow. Stained glass. There's this wonderful church crawling website. I can't remember what it's called now, but there's this wonderful lady. She put in the 10 commandments of church crawlers. Now, church crawlers are people like me, people who like going to churches, not for worship, but for the sake of the buildings themselves, whether it's the architecture, the history, just to feel inside the sense of peace. And one of her commandments was, thou shalt look heavenwards. And it's so true. I always do look up. You'll see amazing craftsmanship in the roof. And that's one of her top tips, that she's like linked it to the commandments. And it was all written, it was all really good advice, but written sort of tongue in cheek. Okay, so here's my poppy. I have bought spares, and I think what I might do is I might tie one to that information board out there, because it's made a point of mentioning this as a thankful village. I may use one of my spares there. This church is fantastic now. Look at the tower. Look at all these stops there, the carvings. There it is, as usual, just wrapped around the plaque. That could be removed if people don't want it there. My little personal tribute, remembrance and respect. Scruton, 1914 to 2014, thankful village. I've decided to just tie one of my spare poppies onto that. Again, that can be cut off if people really don't want it there. Hope it doesn't offend anybody. It's really not meant to. Okay, back that way. And the station, and then think about looking for somewhere to camp. So quite a way down from the church is the railway look. This is the Wensleydale Heritage Railway, so this is what I crossed earlier on. And here is Scruton Station, locked this time of night. What a wonderful little halt. Wow, I'd love to go in there when that was open. Looks really nice, isn't it? I can just see by the clock, which is actually accurate on time, 5 to 7. There we are. There's the old solid brick building. WR Wensleydale Railway. Travel back in time, rekindle old memories and create new ones. Wow. You know, I'd quite like to go on that if I was here at the right time. Old AA steel plate look. Kirby Fleeton, Scruton, Leeming Bar. Oh, that was back there. That was when I got on that track actually. London 230. Okay, we're heading this way. I might just get the phone up and see what's coming up. You know, you never know, there may be a campsite there. I doubt it very much. That's interesting. So there's my blue spot where I am. There's Darren's red spot marking the thankful village. So we're quite close to North Allerton. And there's our next thankful village tomorrow morning. So there'd be supplies in North Allerton. But what surprised me is, look, we're very close to Darlington. I knew we were going by. We don't go in now. We go up around the edge of Stockton on Tees. I just zoomed in to see if there's any possible campsites. You never know, because like with Google Maps, they give you all the businesses. Village Inn, Brompton. No. So that's where the first file at 66 miles is going to end tomorrow. And then the second file north west and then south to the 9 Thankful Village. That's going to be 197 miles. Right, we'll just press on and see what transpires. Okay, I'm filming on my phone now while my action camera charges in the pannier, so excuse any wind noise. About a mile back on the main road, it's coming up to Boroughbridge. I thought wherever there's a river, there's probably a riverside footpath. Saw this rest area, and I think I've found somewhere. I'm just going to do a foot recce, but this looks promising. Through here. I'm sure I can find somewhere subtle around there to blend in, maybe near that tree. But I'm going to do a foot recce first and see what's over there. The river, by the look of it, and some nettles. So that's looking up at the river, that's looking up at the road bridge. This fast flowing river, how brown and peaty that looks. Don't want to be too close to a river. I used to think it was appealing, but you just get tons of midges after dark at dusk. So I'll probably try and camouflage myself, do it discreetly somewhere near that tree. Okay, so I've come back to underneath the tree. The wind's actually stronger than it may appear at the moment. It's coming that way, so I'm getting a lot of protection from the hedgerow. I did think of going over there, but it was actually quite windy. Plus the fact I've got a perfectly natural latrine already made for me. I'm going to try and use that as a tripod. The action camera will just mount onto that magnetically. I've got my bike guy rope tape. I was taught how to do that. It was the first time I went off cycling and touring with a CTC. I used to do it all the time, and then I just stopped doing it. But I think, for the sake of a couple of guy ropes and tent pegs, that's like a man-made, that's a ready-made tripod, isn't it? I'm just going to inflate my sleeping mat. There it is, starting to take shape. Just takes all the hard work out of inflating a mat and deflating it. And there you go, it's up. About 30 seconds that was. That's about as hard as I want it. Yeah, maybe just a little bit more. I find if you inflate them too much, they're too uncomfortable, for me anyway. Another new piece of kit. I've gone back to having expandable travel pillows. Just got this in Mountain Warehouse when I was on holiday in Dorchester back in February. It's a bit more bulky, not that much heavier than an inflatable pillow, but I've tried several different brands and I just cannot get on with inflatable pillows. There you go. It's about a third of the size of a normal pillow. So comfortable, it really is. I'm a side sleeper, so I toss and turn a lot during the night. So with the inflatable ones, they're nylon, they just slip off the sleep mat. And you do have to sort of stuff it into that stuff sack the next morning. If I was really short of space, I probably would bring the smaller inflatable, but I used that for the first time since I bought it when I bivvied recently at that church, and I had such a good night's sleep. I mean, that was only one night admittedly, but yeah, I've gone back to these pillows. I've got my selection of kneeling mat, little foldable table, and I've bought a windscreen because I'm cooking on a Trangia Mini. It's in there somewhere. Oh, there it is. Right, now I've got my bed made, I can start getting the tent organised. So for tonight's menu, I've got steak and vegetables with dumplings. Never had that one before, we'll see what it's like. The usual, just scrunch it up, put it in some boiling water for 8 minutes, let it stand, tear the perforations and eat out the bag. But I'm also going to boil up some rice, I think, then I may decant it onto a plate. Just going to make it look a bit nicer. I find lighting these transias can be a bit tricky, so what I tend to do is just put a bit of meths in it, get that lit, and then just hold it over. You can't always tell if it's taken, you see, and you end up burning your fingers. I can see that has, so that's going. Just going to let that bloom up and then put some rice on. Okay, I've got my rice in there. I'm happy with that flame. Get that on. And then I'll be doing the MRE in the smaller one. As I say, I'm going to decant it out onto the plate, and it'll feel much more like a meal then rather than an army ration pack. It's 9:10 in the evening now. Look, the sun's still above the horizon. Sinking, but it's still daylight. Okay, part one, the rice. There it is then, beef stew and dumplings with rice. And I've got the water there that I boiled that in. That'll be ready for my washing up. So I'm going to tuck into that. And it's about 9:30 and still light. Bon appetit. I've put the wireless microphone on my phone, so I should have the wind muffle on it. So this is coming up to 10:20 on my phone. It says 22:19. You'll see it's still light. The sun's set, but it hasn't been down long. No intrusions whatsoever. Not saying I won't have any, but none so far. I love this time of the year. 10:20 at night, look, and you're outside camping still. So this is with the action camera. They're notorious for not doing very well in poor light. I've noticed really the stabilisation is awful. It's really good during the day, but it's awful like going through the two tunnels. It's unwatchable footage. So I'd be interested to see what this is like. Apparently, the newer versions of this camera are much better in poor light. I think it's all to do with the processor or maybe the lens software. But this is the DJI Action 2, and there's now a DJI 4. I kind of got my eyes on that, to be honest. So the reviews I've read, because I'm reading up about it. I don't want to just make an impulse purchase. I've been reading up, and that's one of the bits of advice that's come through from both the producer and users, that the stabilisation in poor light is much better. It performs better in low light. Today's been quite relaxing. I had plenty of time to, just sit around and relax. So with that, I think I'll say good night and see you in the morning. Just give you a final sweep. Looking downstairs, that's houses just beyond the coast. Oh, of course, that would be westwards. I was trying to think, why is the sunset over there? And then north would be up there. It's got that very post-World War II austere feel to it, hasn't it? The design. Right. Here we go, underneath the River Tyne. This is requiring a lot of concentration. Obviously some big boulders and rocks coming up, so you've got to be mindful of those. And then you hit sand and you go into a spot. Houston, we have a problem. Something didn't feel quite right, and I got off on the grass and had a look, and I realised I've ripped a cleat out my shoe. There's just a very soft bit there. I could feel the pedal going through. I thought there's no point going back to look for it because the housing's all been ripped out. And then I suddenly realised it's on the bottom of my pedal. It's only 94 miles to go to Lancaster, where there'll be a bike shop. As you can see, it's starting to come apart already. I'm going to have to put some more tape on that. I used so much yesterday, I'm sort of having to be quite sparing with it, but I will need to top that. That's literally just getting off the bike here, hitting a bit of gravel and tearing that. So flip-flop time, I'm afraid. Wow, that's some skilled seamanship, that is, fighting that sort of current. On the final day of this trip, I've just got the train down from Manchester Piccadilly to Bristol, and I've had my bicycle stolen. C'est la vie, what a way to end the tour. I've now just got to figure out a way to get myself and 2 hefty panniers back to my hometown of Bath. Ciao.